Hi, this is Kat, and you're watching Triple Threat Sports.
Well, here we are, Mets fans, for another podcast. This Wednesday, July 31st, marks the annual day of baseball fanaticism known as the trading deadline. And this year, our Mets have done pretty well over the last 30 games. I think there's something like, they're above 500 over the last 30 games, 35 games. And there's questions now as to what the Mets should do at the deadline coming up on Wednesday. One school of thought says they should basically stand pat, hope that they can continue to be over 500 the rest of the season, finish the season at about 500, call it an improvement, and go from there. They have money coming off the books in the offseason. They can sign some free agents and hopefully take off next year. There's another school of thought that says they've overachieved the past 30, 35 games. Eric Young has been great since he came from the Rockies in the trade for Colin McHugh last month. But he's never been an everyday player until he's come to the Mets a month ago. He's been good, but he's starting to tail off, and it could be that he's only had a good month, and maybe he isn't a part of the future. Marlon Byrd has been arguably maybe the second or third best player on the Mets this season. The Mets got him off the scrap heap last year. He was suspended for performance-enhancing drug use. And this year, he leads the team in home runs and RBIs. 35 years old, possibly he might not be the answer going forward. Even though he is signed for very cheap right now and possibly will be cheap again next year if the Mets want him back. So what do? Do you trade or do you stand pat? The most valuable trade piece the Mets have at this moment would probably be their closer, Bobby Parnell, who's 29 years old. He's been the closer now for 2 years. He's been on the team, I would say, 6 years. This is probably his sixth season on the team. And do you trade him or do you keep him for the future? There's a young pitching staff coming up. There's Harvey, there's Wheeler, there's young guys coming up in the minors. Do you need an established closer to work with them, get them over, bridge them to success, or do you trade Parnell now while his value is high? The thing about relief pitchers, closers in particular, or relief pitchers in general, you never know year to year. In fact, there's an article here on Fangraphs that was published on July 11th of this year, a couple weeks ago, and it gives a list of the top 10 under 30 years of age relief pitchers from 2010, which was 3 seasons ago, and where these guys are now. And basically, I'm going to do a quick count here. Maybe you can pick this up, maybe you can't. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the 10 guys from 2010, under 30 years of age, relief pitchers from that year, from that season, haven't pitched this season at all. A lot of them out of baseball altogether. Some of them are in the minors, some of them got bum elbows. The point being, it's very difficult to build around closers, relief pitchers. Okay. The idea of bullpens in baseball, bullpens are almost impossible to predict one year to the next. Some teams like the Tampa Bay Rays have been very successful year to year, basically rebuilding their bullpen every year. And it almost seems like the best way to build a bullpen every year is just throw a bunch of arms together and hope you get lucky. That being said, again, you can't count on relievers year to year. If you can get something good for them now where the stock is high, you have to do it. Here in New York, we've been, I hate the Yankees, but we've been spoiled by Mariano Rivera and his constant, consistent success over the past 15 seasons. The thing with Mariano Rivera is he's probably, if not the greatest closer, certainly the top 3 closers of all time, top 3 relief pitchers of all time. You don't get those guys. So the idea that Bobby Parnell is going to be a long-term closer, recent history suggests otherwise. It suggests that you trade relief pitchers while they are hot, while their stock is high. And I feel that's what the Mets should do with Parnell. Now, you don't want to give him away. And I think the Mets front office, Sandy Alderson and J.P. Riccardi, they're intelligent guys, and I don't think they're going to do this anyway. You don't want to give him away, but there's definitely teams out there that would take a good cheaply paid closer, and Parnell is that this season. There's the Detroit Tigers. Their bullpen has been a mess all season. They have some prospects in the minor leagues. They have Nick Castellanos, their top prospect. They have an owner who's very rich, also very old. He wants to win before. They might be desperate enough to give up a big-time prospect for a short-term and closer in Parnell. The only other closer on the market possibly this year, off the top of your head, is Jonathan Papelbon of the Philadelphia Phillies. He's signed to a $13 million a year contract, and he has a couple more years left after this year. It's a lot of money for a closer. It's a good chance if the Mets shop Parnell, he would be the top relief pitcher on the market. It could be a bidding war between there's the Tigers, there's the Orioles. A lot of teams out there would bid for a closer. If I'm the Mets, that's what I do. I shop Parnell now while he's hot. Marlon Byrd, not quite the same. It won't be that high, even though he's had a good season. He is 35. He is coming off a suspension last season. And again, he's an order. Even though he's cheap, he's a free agent coming up at the end of this year. Not quite as high a stock, but also in a package with Parnell. And again, the Tigers could use an outfielder too. So could the Pirates in their pursuit of the players for the first time in a long time. You might be able to get something for him. Anyway, I feel the Mets should be aggressive in the next few days. Aggressive at the deadline to get pieces for the future. This team, I feel, has overachieved. They've been fun to watch, but I feel they've overachieved a little bit. They still need some young players. They still need some young depth in the overall organization. That's the way to go on the deadline. Mets, Sandy Alderson, J.P. Riccardi, be aggressive. Sell at the deadline.